Now that we have learned how to solve quadratics by factoring, we've solved by using the square root method, by completing the square, and by using the quadratic formula. We want to talk about all four of those methods to see which one is going to be the easiest one or the best method to use when solving a particular quadratic. So you should have this page in your OneNote notebook, and we'll go through and talk through each one of these. So the first method that we talked about was factoring and using the zero factor property, which means that if we take our quadratic and set it equal to 0, then if we can factor our quadratic, then we can set each factor equal to 0. So if we look at this example, x squared minus 2x minus 24 equals 0, if we factor that into x minus 6 times x plus 4, and that's all going to be equal to 0, we can set each one of these factors equal to 0 so that we find that x equals 6 and x equals negative 4. And likewise, if we look at this other example where we have 4a squared plus a equals 0, if we factored out our GCF, which is a, we have a times 4a plus 1 equals 0. And if we solve and set each one of these factors equal to 0, we find that a equals 0 and a is going to equal negative 1/4. So one of the advantages of using the factoring method is that it's really easy to solve. It can be pretty quick to factor. You do have to have your equation set to 0 before you can factor because it does rely on that zero product rule. The disadvantage of using factoring is that sometimes it can be difficult to factor a polynomial that's given to you, and sometimes you've got things that are not factorable. We've seen those before where they're prime. So factoring is not always an option. Another option that we took a look at was the square root property, and it's really pretty fast. But the thing here is that you need to notice that if you're going to use the square root property, you would have a squared term, like an x squared term, and a constant. And a constant, remember, is just a plain old number. But you're not going to have a linear term or like an x, just a plain x term. So here we have the example, change pen colors to make this a little bit easier. We've got x squared equals 27. So to solve x squared equals 27, we can just simply take the square root of both sides. And when we take the square root, we're going to get x equals plus or minus the square root of 27, but we've got to simplify that radical and see if there's a perfect square that's a factor. And we do know that 9 is a factor, and 9 is a perfect square. The square root of 9 is 3. So we have plus or minus 3, and then we still have a 3 left underneath our radical. Same thing here when we have in parentheses 2y plus 3 in parentheses squared equals 25. We can take the square root of both sides and we get 2y plus 3 equals plus or minus 5, and then we can go on and solve that for y. So the big thing to remember here is that to use the square root property, you have to have an equation that's in a certain form, and you've got a square term and a constant, but no linear term there. Okay, so let's look at the next option, which is completing the square. And we can really complete the square using any quadratic function. But the thing that I want you to recognize is that the only times that we have been completing the square so far has been you only want to use this method when the coefficient of x squared or of your squared term is 1. And the other thing is that we want to make it easier, you want the coefficient of your x term to be even. Because remember, we take that x term and we divide it by 2. So if you look at this particular example, if we were going to complete the square, we would have to take that 14 and divide it by 2, which would give us 7, and then we would square that and add that to both sides of my equation. So you'd add 49 to both sides of the equation, and you'd continue on from there. The thing is that if your coefficient in this example of t, if it's odd, you're going to end up with fractions. And which while you can do that and still solve for your values of t, it just makes it more complicated when you have fractions. So the thing that I would say is that when you're completing the square, you want the coefficient of x squared to be 1, and you want to look to see if the coefficient of x, if it's even or not. Sometimes this can be a more cumbersome way to solve an equation because it does involve more steps. But we will find later on in the chapter as we continue on, there can be some great benefits to completing the square. The last method that we learned about was the quadratic formula, and it can be used to solve any quadratic equation. There are no limitations. We can take any quadratic equation and solve it. The disadvantage of the quadratic formula is that it does involve several calculations and it's easy to make mistakes. So it's one of those things that we can use it at any point, but maybe we want to be a little bit more careful about when we use it. So now let's just talk about an overall strategy for when we're trying to solve quadratic equations. How are we going to know which method we're going to use? And what I would say is that the easiest and quickest method to use is the square root method. And so if you can use the square root property, use it. Try that first. The thing is that you know here that you're only going to have a squared term and a constant. And if that's the case, then you can use the square root property to solve for your variable. If you can't use the square root property, then what I would suggest doing next is pulling everything to one side of the equation and set it equal to 0. Because if you can do that, you can see if you can solve this equation using the factoring method. If you can't use the square root property, the factoring method is going to be the fastest way to solve a quadratic equation. But sometimes factoring isn't possible. Maybe you've got a prime quadratic, or maybe you can't figure out how it's going to factor. Either way, then you would want to look and see, could you use the quadratic formula, which is just, you still would have to identify your values of a, b, and c. You've already got your equation set up equal to 0, so you could easily identify what a equals, what b equals, and what c equals, so you could plug it into the quadratic formula. Or you could complete the square. Remember, if you're going to complete the square, you want your coefficient of your x squared term to be equal to 1, and you want the coefficient of your x term, or that linear term, to be even. If it's not both of those things, then don't complete the square. Use the quadratic formula to be able to solve that equation. So what I would like for you all to do now, there are a few practice problems here. I want you to work on these problems and determine which is the easiest way for you to solve this. If you'll pause your video right now, you can come back and check the answers. Okay, so here are all the answers that you can see from these 4 problems. These are located in the content library, so you can check your work here if you want to take it step by step and take a look at how I solved these. You see that we had to use the square root property. You could have factored both number 2 and number 3. Number 4, it cannot be factored. I wouldn't complete the square because we haven't talked about how to complete the square with a leading coefficient other than 1. So my only choice here was to do the quadratic formula to solve this. What I would like for you to do now, there should be a handout for you. There's 6 problems to solve quadratics using any method. So I want you to work on those to try to figure out what method would be best, and then know that you can check your answers in the content library.